So don't be too embarrassing.
Take it away.
Yeah, John, she's talking to you.
Talking to you. I'm not the embarrassing one. Okay. Do you want us to start now?
Mhm.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Thank you for coming to the second Alumni Night webinar. And so today, Thuyvi and I will be talking about how our personal experiences with getting a job/internship and any tips that we can give. And we're also talking about a post-grad and COVID edition of like how we went through our own process post-grad essentially. And so with that, my name is John.
And I'm Thuyvi.
And then next slide, Olivia. And so today, we'll be going over these stuff today. So the pre-job hunt, networking, experience bolstering, the job hunt begins, the application process, the interview, and any tips, tricks, and experiences from us and anyone else that wants to give their experiences. And so with that, next slide, Olivia. So let's give a little introduction about myself. So my name is John Hoang. According to to Thuyvi, I'm Fishman. I graduated in the class of 2020 with a biology major and chemistry minor. I was a former vice president of service in the 17-18 term. 18-19, I served as Metro Special Events Chair, and for the 19-20 term, I served as family head. And my current job, I serve as a researcher through a program called ORISE with the EPA in Duluth.
So hi everyone. For those who don't know me, which I think almost everyone here knows me, I'm Thuyvi, and I graduated the same time as John. So I graduated with a marketing major and also a minor in PR. I was a member of Circle K for about 3 years. So I was the 18-19 marketing communications chair, which is now known as the PR chair. And then more recently, I was the 1920 Metro Marketing Communications chair. And right now, I'm currently a social coordinator. So I work in the marketing and advertising industry at an agency. And I'm not an otaku, but I do like anime, and I don't have a waifu.
Huh?
Ew. Okay, so going into the pre-job hunt, before you start diving into like job and internship applications, there are important questions that you need to ask yourself. So first, what are your goals? What kind of positions are you interested in? What's your desired pay? What are you trying to get out of the internship or job? And then second, what are your strengths? It's really important to note these down because you want to leverage them to set you apart from other candidates. And these can include both hard and soft skills depending on like what industry you're going into. And depending on what kind of role you're trying to get, like it's very important to also know what skills and qualities are necessary to be an ideal candidate. And then also you need to know like what are your weaknesses. In my opinion, this is the most important thing to recognize because your weaknesses are what prevents you from being the ideal candidate. So you want to understand like what areas you're weaker in so you can improve in those aspects and also turn those weaknesses into strengths. And these all seem like pretty simple and elementary, but you don't want to dive in headfirst with no preparation at all. And by answering these questions, it can set you in the right direction and a foundation for you.
And so with that as well, some other tips that we have in terms of the actual like pre-job hunt before you actually start your search, you should plan ahead and apply early. It's really important that you start looking into programs early because with set programs, they usually have early dates planned out. So like for example, if you're looking for a summer program, you should start looking in the fall because typically those due dates can be as early as like January. And um, typically speaking, I recommend at least 2 months prior to actually starting your search. So for example, when I initially found my internship at the Water District, um, I started searching in March and I was able to start in June, fortunately, but sometimes this wouldn't cut it out. And additionally, it's like really highly recommended to apply early because sometimes they may fill a position before the actual application ends, their like end date. And with that as well, always try to keep a positive mindset. Don't be discouraged and just keep on applying because all you need is one to work out in the end. And with that, next slide.
Yeah, so next is networking, and this is something you should actually be doing throughout the whole time that you're job hunting and just in general, especially with everything going on right now, like the fact that we're in a pandemic and things are online. Networking is extremely important because you're not only competing against like students and recent grads, but also like those who are already like established in their field and those who are like furloughed or laid off. So highly recommend that you start networking like now as soon as possible. And to start, you can reach out to your current network. So that includes like your classmates, alumni like John and I, and also like college organizations that you're a part of. So like Circle K. And also LinkedIn is a super powerful resource because you can not only like find super like important information about your field and also just insight on like what it's like, but you can also connect with recruiters, new employees at companies that you're interested in working for, and also just like recent grads and students like you. And also, if there's a company that you're interested in, I highly recommend like reaching out to new employees because they're also more likely to be willing to have an informational interview with you, which is pretty much like a one-on-one like coffee chat. Um, and through LinkedIn and also like Facebook, you can also join networking groups and be a part of communities that are most relevant to your career.
And with that as well, something that I found really useful with networking in terms of like the science field was with professors and lab mates, and generally speaking, even your classmates. I feel like for me, you really do need a lot of professor recommendations at the end to be able to make it far in the world. Those professor recommendations can allow you to get into grad school, and a lot of the times when you're applying to internships and jobs, they do want letter of recommendations as well. And so making these connections throughout college are really important. And for me personally, I actually was able to receive an opportunity to become like a lab TA due to the connections I made with my lab TA. She got me an opportunity to serve as a graduate assistant. And that's only because I was able to network so well and make these connections. So it's really is important that you start networking and talking to people around you because they could be possibly the ones to get you an opportunity in the future. Next slide.
Okay, so now on to like building your experience. So if you haven't realized yet, LinkedIn is super important, especially in like business, but also like just in general with, like I said, like everything's online and people are more like they're moving forward to like the digital world. So on websites like LinkedIn or Handshake, if you guys have heard of that, and even like Facebook groups like Subtle Asian Networking. I know like some of you guys are a part of it, but through these kinds of like websites and resources, you can find like countless opportunities, whether it's like job notices for like jobs and internships or just like short-term projects or like anything that you can be a part of. And also like, I'm also sure that like you guys have been in the position or you guys currently are where you feel like you can't get a job because you don't have an experience because you can't get a job. And like that's like an endless cycle. And especially with the fact that like we're in a pandemic and things are like, pretty much online, you can't do things in person. You should be like open to going for like more untraditional routes of like building experience. So that could include like freelancing or doing like volunteer work. And then John will talk a little bit more about like the different ways that you can build experience without like actually getting a job or an internship.
And so some of the experiences that I had that actually was able, like that I used as a way for me to get my future internship, clubs was one of them. So Circle K helped out a lot and having and joining any clubs that are relevant to your major. So for example, I know Thuyvi was a part of two separate like societies. One of them was PR and the other one was marketing, I believe. And those really do help you build your uh, background because a lot of jobs are looking to see if what you did with your time. So if like you have clubs, research labs, classes to support that you actually made an effort to do stuff in your free time, they really do like to see that. And with that as well, research labs is another method that you can use to build your experience of volunteering. And then later on, there's a possibility of actually getting to the lab by like building that a connection with them. And classes as well is something I found very useful because they want to see that you were able to develop your skill set in different ways. And so classes are a really big part, especially in the science world. And finally, like portfolio building is a really big part for I know like art majors, computer science majors, and even like um, business majors as well. They want to see you enter competitions, do projects from passion to mock, and like even host like presentations. These are like really important because they want to be able to see that you do stuff in your free time and that you have like a diverse experience. So those are really important. Um, and finally, internships are a really big part to actually getting that end job as well. I know that a lot of graduates are able to secure jobs because of their internships, and like a lot of the times internships even offer them jobs. Like for example, I know Luis was able to secure a job through his internship. Yeah, and from there, we're gonna move into the actual job hunt. And so when the job hunt begins, you really first need to figure out like, okay, well, where do you begin to search for these opportunities? And so Thuyvi and I thought of as many like different websites and resources for you to look into. So these include LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, career link through the school, Google, company websites if you know what you're interested in already, group pages on Facebook. Yeah, Beachboard. Beachboard's actually really useful in the science field because for us, we have major specific groups and sometimes opportunities are posted there as well. And so I actually found one of my opportunities through Beachboard, and Handshake and social media are a really big part as well. And I highly recommend looking on the major job websites. And if there's an option to be able to apply through the company website, yeah, BeachSync as well as Ren mentioned, to apply through the company website because then it shows that you're interested in the company and that you're just not kind of applying for anything. Like I know that LinkedIn has that option for you to easy apply, quote unquote. And so it's always better to like apply directly on the website, a company website, because it shows you're interested. Like I mentioned earlier, apply early. If you're graduating, try to apply at least 2 months prior. Um, Internships lead to those long-term jobs, and apply know what you want to do in the future. So only apply for what you're willing to do. Tuvi, do you want to add anything?
Um, yeah, pretty much like definitely like utilize those sites, and also like tying it back to like networking too. Like if you have a good network and you're like well connected with people too, like you can also like find opportunities through people before like it even gets on like a job board. So like that's how that was like how I was able to like get some of my like past internships, and also like with my current job too. Like I had a really good relationship with the recruiter at my agency, so she was the one who like reached out to me like before like that job was even on like anywhere, and I didn't even like know about it. So she was the one who like reached out to me and told me like I should apply for it, and like that's like happened to me like several times too, like in the past, like with internships. Like I just like find out like through other people that I know. So definitely like that's why like networking is also important, because like you can use them as like a resource for literally anything.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And like with that as well, like I've gotten a lot of jobs and like opportunities because I knew someone and that was kind of my way into that position. And even like with like my internship, like I was able to help someone else get a job opportunity there because they knew me. And then my company asked me like what I thought about them, and that's how they ended up securing the position. So it's like networking is such a big part of actually securing the job in the end. And so with that, we're going to move into the next section.
Yeah. So before I like dive into like the whole like application process, like these are like a side by side of like John and mine's resume. You can't like really see it clearly because it's like a picture, but like if you guys are interested in like actually like seeing it like in detail, we can like send it to you guys like after the webinar. But essentially like it varies by like industry and field, but the general rules of thumb are quality over quantity, and also just to like quantify as many things as possible. So when you're applying, like focus on the quality of your application. So don't just like send out your resume like as many times as possible, because even though like to some extent it is a numbers game, it's more effective to submit an application that you feel confident about rather than something mediocre, because you'd be wasting your own time and honestly the hiring manager's time. And this is why it's also important to tailor your resume and cover letter to the job description whenever applicable, because you want to be like that ideal candidate for them. And your resume doesn't need to be different like every time you submit an application, but make sure you're hitting keywords. And if there's a larger focus in an area that the job or internship is looking for, be sure to make that clear on your resume, because usually like the first set of eyes on your resume, they'll just like do a quick glance over of like 3 to 5 seconds, like honestly 7 seconds if you're like lucky. So make sure it's like clear on your resume. And as I said too, like you want to quantify your experience whenever you can, because it's more effective when you can back it up, back your experience up by like metrics and not just like saying it. So for example, like in my case, instead of like me saying like I did email marketing for like XYZ client, I would instead put that I increased like the click-through rate for our e-newsletters by like 15% or something like that. And like to go a little bit more into like resumes, like when in doubt, like it's always better to go with a simple resume. So like more like John's, like unless you're gonna be going into like a creative field or like an industry that prefers like something like else like going on, like definitely like go with a plain resume. And then also with like job applications, like all of it is like online anyway. And like when you're submitting an application, like it's not even a person who's going to be like looking at your resume or anything first. It's going to be a computer. So like if your resume is like easy to look at and like it's plain and simple, the computer and algorithm is more likely to like actually pick it up and like, you know, show that you're like you meet the basic qualifications to move you forward to like an actual person looking at your resume. So when in doubt, just like keep it plain. And then I'll let John go a little bit more into like resumes and CVs before I like jump into like cover letters.
And so, just talking a little more about resumes, you try your best to like avoid like showing your words. Like for example, you wouldn't really want to put like, oh, I'm really like I'm a team worker, stuff like that. You want to embed that into your work experience and your extracurricular activities. You want to really show instead of like saying that you're a certain way, you want to show it through your experience. And like Thuyvi said, you want to show your experience as much as possible and quantify it. Uh, just going a little more into it, it's highly recommended that, like, for example, if you're not a freshman, then try to exclude anything prior to college, unless it's highly applicable to what you do in the future. So you try to include the most recent stuff. And like, for example, for me as a science major, you really do want to include like relevant coursework as a section, because that shows like what you've been able to do throughout your college experience. And going a little more into like the difference between like what a resume and CV is. A resume is kind of like a holistic view of like what you've been able to experience, and it typically doesn't include everything you've gone through. Whereas a CV goes way more into depth into your experiences. So this goes from like presentations you've done, awards, honored, any like, for example, if you have any grants, you include any grants you do, any projects that you were able to do. Why are you laughing, Olivia? You good, Olivia? And then generally speaking, it's like uh, more in depth in terms of like everything you've done throughout your experience. So like any experiments you've done, any like uh, any certain skills that you learn on the way, like you include every little detail in the CV. And then I will pass it back to Thuyvi to talk more about cover letters.
Yeah, so for cover letters, like hiring managers can typically tell when you use like a copy paste template where you just like, you know, you switch out like the company and the position. Like they can tell usually that like, you know, you're just like reusing the same cover letter. So that's why it's really important to like actually like research the company and tailor your resume and tailor your cover letter to the specific role. And you also don't want your cover letter to be like a vomit of your resume, because like they already have your resume. So like your cover letter should be like a supplemental resource for them. Like it should add on, not like just like be the same thing. So in your cover letter, you can like further expand on your experiences and also just like add like some personality or information that they like wouldn't know just like by looking at your resume. And also it's pretty obvious that like you want a job or an internship because it will allow you to develop your skills and gain experience. So don't like just say that because like they already know that. So instead, like also detail like the value you can provide. So in other words, like explain like what you can do for them and also like what like you can bring to the table and how like your skills can benefit them and like that's why like they should hire you. So in general, like the structure of a cover letter is about like 3 to 4 paragraphs, and it should always be one page. Like the shorter the better, honestly. Um, and so like the first paragraph is usually just like an introduction. So like it's like what you're applying for, who you are briefly, how you heard about this role. For me personally, I don't really include like how I heard about the role. I don't think it's like necessary, but like that's like the traditional way. So you can if you have space and if you want. Um, and then the second paragraph would be the why. So like why are you interested in this role and what value can provide. So this is where you should be showing what you've done and also like showing them that like you're actually like, serious and genuinely interested in their company. So like XYZ is something you're passionate about and like this company is a leader in that area. So like that's why you're interested. Or like you're a strong believer in like these values and like the company is like that's what like they strive for in their mission statement. So like try to like relate it in some way and like show that you're like genuinely interested. So and then also like at the end of it too, like make sure you're tying it back to how you're an asset to the company. Because like obviously like you want to get out of it like in like experience and like skills and like whatnot, but like it's more important to show that like you can actually provide value and like be someone that they would actually like want to hire. And then the third paragraph details like a little bit more about your experience. So again, like this isn't like a vomit of your resume, but just like this is like an area for you to like expand on anything that you couldn't include in your resume. And then like the last paragraph would be like your call to action. And you want to include your availability and structure your last sentences in a way that's more proactive. So instead of saying like, I hope to set an interview in the near future, you should instead say, I look forward to setting an interview with you in the near future. So like it kind of like puts you in a direction of like, being more proactive. And you can kind of think of it like as like manifestation because like you're kind of like already in the mindset that you're gonna like move forward. And also like again, like if you want to see like examples of our cover letters or also just like examples of like our resumes, like feel free to reach out because John and I like both have like our different versions of both.
Yeah, like Thuyvi said, a lot of this you should, if possible, try to tailor to both your resume and cover letter to the job description, so that like it shows that you actually put in the work to show that you're really interested in a particular company, because that's kind of how you show that you stand out in a way. And generally speaking, like Thuyvi said, like manifest it and like be more confident. Like they want to see like that that like show you're confident but not arrogant. Yeah. And then like with that, we're gonna move into the interview process. And so with that, um, so the first thing, so at this point, you've secured that interview, and you're gonna have an interview in the future. And so the first thing that you should usually do is research the company, because you want it the company generally will ask what they do and like why you're applying for it, and so you should know like the company values and like uh generally speaking, you should know like why you're interested in the company and what you are gonna be doing. And I'll hand it back to Thuyvi to talk about pretty much the rest of the before.
Yeah, so this is like the time for you to utilize your network. So before the interview, like reach out to employees at companies you're interviewing at or anyone who's like relevant in your desired field because they can probably provide you like insight and advice that could help you like put your best foot forward in an interview. And then also like this is kind of like a no-brainer, but know how to confidently answer general interview questions. So like the usual, tell me about yourself, like what are your greatest like strengths and weaknesses. Overall, like no matter like what like industry is, like 99.9% chance like they're gonna ask you like a variation of like those questions, just like because those are like like the standard questions in every interview. So like know your elevator pitch and like know how to like speak on those things confidently. And then you also want to look at Glassdoor to find common and potential interview questions for your role and or company, because more often than not, like those questions are available. So might as well like look into it and like know what to like kind of expect before you go into the interview. And also like if you lack something that's stated in the job description, it's obviously not a deal breaker because like, you know, you made it this far to like the interview stage, but take initiative to like learn whatever it is that you're not familiar with. So like, for example, like say like for me, like if the job like requires Excel, but like I don't really know Excel that much, like I would take initiative and like take a LinkedIn learning course to like be more familiar with it. And then like I could like demonstrate that like in the interview, because then it shows that I'm like proactive, I'm like, you know, taking initiative and like actually like willing to like learn and put in work to be like the best candidate that I can be. And also like with everything that's still like, you know, with things like being online, like make sure that like you have a proper setup, because like more often than not, like with right now, like it's probably going to be a virtual interview. So have a proper setup beforehand. Make sure you check your lighting and make sure that your background is presentable and that your camera and mic work. Like just make sure everything works beforehand, because you want to like present yourself the best way that you can. And also like just like don't slack off. Like practice is actually really important. So like you can do like mock interviews with someone. You can just like record yourself speaking or like speak out loud or like practice in front of the mirror. Like all these little things, like it actually makes a difference and it matters, because like going through the motions of the interview beforehand, it will not only like help you feel more confident and like comfortable in like speaking on like what you're saying, but also like it'll let you know like, are you speaking too fast? Are you rambling too much? Are you like not making eye contact? Like, are you awkward? And like also like just like having that practice, it helps you like just be more confident overall when like the real deal comes.
And so like with that as well, if you're applying for a technical job and you listed that you have some sort of experience in something that they're interested in, be sure that you review that topic and that you know how to answer questions about it. So for example, when I applied for a microbiology job, they asked about aseptic techniques, which is essentially sterilizing, or basically making sure you have proper handling of tools essentially. And you want to be sure you're able to answer all your technical questions properly, and that this is also goes hand in hand with like reviewing your resume and knowing what you put on it, because if they ask you something about your resume and you're unfamiliar with it, it will show. And so be sure to review both your resume and your technical background. And so a lot about what we talked about was um, through Zoom call or like an online interview. But if you eventually you'll head back into in-person interviews. So another really something that I highly recommend beforehand: print extras of your resumes and bring them to your interview, because it'll show that you're more proactive. Because sometimes they won't have your resume on hand, and so by you being proactive and you bringing this with you, it shows a higher level of interest as well, and it shows more professionality. And so with that, we'll be moving into the during part of the interview, and I'll let Thuyvi take over.
Yeah. So during the interview, like obviously, you know, you should be dressed appropriately. But like since like with everything like virtual for now, like it's gonna be like in a virtual interview anyway. So like personally, like I recommend just like being like put together like the waist up, so you know you can like maximize your comfort. Like you don't need to like pants, it's like fine. So also like when you're answering questions, it's super important to align your responses to the job description, because again, like you want to be like the most ideal candidate and you want to like show that like, you know, you fit like all these points on the description. And also like actions speak much louder than words. So prove by examples and like not just like making your claims. And like the general framework when it comes to answering situational questions is first context, then action, then impact, then takeaways. So in other words, like what was the challenge or situation? What did you do? What was the outcome? And what did you learn and gain? So following this like framework when it comes to like more situational questions, it's really important because they'll help you not ramble or like talk too much, and also just like have a steer path of like what you're saying. And also like more often than not, like you might be like the most like qualified person on paper, but if you can't like confidently and like properly like carry yourself in an interview, like you're not gonna get the job. Like that's like how it is in the end. So like being able to speak the part is also like very important. And like on that same note too, like be confident and like show some personality. Like if you're actually prepared, like you'll be much more confident because like you know your stuff, you'll know what to say, and you don't have to feel like that like nervousness and like make you like trip up because like you practice, you're prepared, and like you can do this. And also like before the interview ends, like always have questions because like you're not only like showing you've like done your research, but you're also like actually interested. And this is like the chance for you to like learn anything that you can like about the company. And also like at the end of the interview, like if you ask like for feedback, this is like how you can like, not only like make the interviewer like put all their cards on the table, but also like it gives you the opportunity to like clear any doubts that they might have. And then like more often than not too, like based on their answers, you'll probably know like the outcome of the interview too. So like highly recommend like that's like something you guys should do because like not that many people do that. And then I'll bring it back to John.
Yeah, and so I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have personality, because once you already have your interview, you kind of already have a foot in the door, and so at that point, the interview is more so for the company to get to know you, and they want to have someone that they know that they can work with long term. And so this is where your personality and you not being nervous and being more confident is really important, because this is where you can make yourself stand out in the interview. And so with that as well, something else that's really important during the interview is that you should be prepared for multiple rounds of interviews actually. So initially you will probably have a screening process through the phone where they ask you more general questions about yourself and they set up an actual interview date. And then you have the actual interview, and afterwards you usually have a technical interview where they will ask you more about your background. I know Thuyvi has done it where they asked more about her background, they had her do stuff. I know that this happens a lot with comp sci majors, and heck, I've even had to do it for me in an interview where they asked me to do chemistry randomly during it, and I almost choked, but you know how it is. And with that, we're gonna be moving into the post interview now. And so in the post interview, something that's really important is you always want to be proactive and follow up. I can't say how important this is because like it's literally like one of the most important parts because it shows like you're taking the next step and you're actually like going out of your way to like thank them for their time and asking them for feedback, because it shows that like you're just genuinely really interested in the company. And after sending the follow-up email, try not to stress out. Um, it's hard to say this, but like it's true. Like, uh, try to keep your mind off of it. Don't get your hopes up, but don't count yourself out at the same time, because you really don't know what will happen. There are times where I get my hopes up and I only let myself down, but other times where like I kind of just count myself out and then out of nowhere like it surprises me. And so try your best just not to think too much about it. And with that, I'm gonna let Thuyvi take over the rest.
Yeah. So like after your interview, like in addition to the follow up, like if they have LinkedIn, like definitely like connect with them because like you want to have like another level of like connection with them. And also like by connecting with them, like again, it shows that you're actually interested. It shows that you're taking a step further and putting an effort to like, actually like get this job or internship. And also like you'll also be more like top of mind in general. And like it all kind of like goes like full circle. Because like also like if you get rejected, like don't beat yourself up about it. Like take this as an opportunity to ask for feedback because like this demonstrates that you're striving towards growth. And like also like knowing like why you didn't get a role, it also helps you be prepared for like next time so you won't be doing the same mistakes. And also like this is like really cheesy, but like just stay positive. Because like oftentimes like it could be the right like job or company for you, but just not the right time. And I've like known a handful of people who have failed like once or like multiple times at an interview for the same company that like they're now working at. So like definitely like don't give up and like be focused on like improving your skills and growing, so you can be like eventually like suitable for that role. And also like for me too, like before I got this job, I was actually interviewing for a different role at the same agency I'm at, and I didn't get that one. So like I like followed the steps that like we've been telling you, And like because I asked for feedback and I knew like what else I needed to improve on, like I was able to get the job that I am at now. So yeah, very important to do that.
And so with that, we're going to be moving on to our last section. And so this is more so as a section for Thuyvi and I and any other graduates to like kind of give their input on each tips, tricks, and like their own experiences throughout the process. And so if you want to speak up, feel free just to speak up. But for now, I'm gonna let Thuyvi talk about a really important thing. Thuyvi?
Yeah. So John and I, we didn't like mention this in the PowerPoint, but like when we were like talking about this, we talked about it a lot. But like your mental health is extremely important, especially like right now with all the things going on. So like don't worry about anyone else except yourself. So as in like don't be worried about like how so and so in your class or in your field like already got a job or an internship, but like you haven't. Like instead of like worrying about those things, which is obviously like easier said than done, like focus on your own self and go by the pace that works best for you. So, you know, you probably feel pressure externally and internally that you need to get a job as like soon as possible because like, you know, like time is running out or whatever. But like this isn't a race. So go by like the pace that's most comfortable for you because everyone else has their own journey and like honestly like things work out as they need to. And like for me too, like I personally like only applied to like about like 15 jobs like within this whole year, which is like a lot less like than what people normally do because like people like will apply to like upwards of like hundreds and stuff like that. But like for me, like the reason why like I didn't apply to many at all really is because like after graduation, like I was not in a good like mental space. Like so like I wanted to like focus on like my mental health and like just like recuperate with like all the things going on, like you know, being stressed about like being done with school and like just like all the things like happening in the world. Because like honestly, like if you're not in a good like mindset and like just like not in a good like headspace overall, like you're not going to be able to put like your best foot forward when like applying to like jobs or internships. So like you know like instead of like rushing into that, like take your time and like focus on your like mental health too, so you can like be ready to like be the best version of yourself when like going into like an interview or like doing anything. Um, but yeah, that's like my little spiel on like mental health. It's very important.
Yeah, like Thuyvi said, I actually took some time to like, uh, with my applications, it would be like random bursts. So, like there'd be times where I would do like a decent amount at once, and then other times where like I would just take weeks at a time just to like just avoid it all because like I just couldn't because I was like just very stressed out with everything, and so I can't say how important it is just like to go at your own pace, and like in the end like it will work out in the end. It just takes time. Luckily for me and Thuyvi, like we were able to end up securing them jobs pretty fast, but it won't always be like that. But like we want to provide as much like of our own tips and experiences to help you all in the future. And so like with that, like if you have any questions, feel free to ask them as well. Thuyvi and I will try to help them, try to answer them to the best of our abilities. But yeah, if there's anything you want to ask, Thuyvi and I can just kind of ramble then. If not, but generally speaking, like I feel like during this whole like post-COVID, like COVID, trying to find a job during COVID, it was hard just because like you are competing with people, not only just fresh graduates, but also people who were laid off from their jobs or just try to look for new opportunities. And so there's a large field that you're competing against. So like even if like you're looking right now like and then like it's having a hard time, understand like it may not be because of you but because of like how the time is right now. Tweety.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And like kind of like just like further like talk about like some of the things that like John and I like went through, like, you know, like patience is a virtue. Like it's really important to like, you know, just like not to like rush through anything, which is like things that like we've been like echoing like throughout this like entire presentation. But that's why like after graduation, I took a long break. Well, not like that long, but I took like about like a month and a half off, like not applying to jobs at all because like I wanted just to like recuperate. So like, you know, like within that month, I didn't apply to like anything because like before then, before I took the break, like I would struggle even just like applying to anything because like I just like felt so like demotivated. So sometimes you just have to like, you know, take a step back, like appreciate what you have and like see like what else you can do and like, you know, how you can like make the most out of your time before like jumping into like, job applications and whatnot, because like I think like everything happens for a reason, which is really cheesy. But like everything will happen like the way that it should be. And like as long as you're motivated and like willing to like continue trying, like you will like find the job or internship that's like best fit for you.
Yeah, I agree. Any other postgrads wanna talk? Cindy? Anyone? Any questions? Yeah. If not, me and Thuyvi will just ramble. What's up?
Anthony actually has a question.
Oh, I have a question. So my question is, my resume looks pretty bleak. So is it best to build my resume first before I apply for an internship, or just apply for an internship? Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the question right now.
That's all
Oh,
right.
I was gonna let John answer.
Honestly speaking, you could probably apply just to see, because who knows, maybe they'll accept you either way. But honestly, like, I can't really say like how like likely you'll get it or not, but definitely if you put in the work and you show how passionate you are, they definitely will still consider you. I feel like connections is definitely one of the biggest ways to end up getting something. So like I don't really know what field you're in currently.
Oh, I'm biomolecular.
Oh, biomolecular. Okay, then I can talk a little bit about it then, because I definitely entered like my internship with like pretty much like no experience, um, and so showing that like you've at least experienced stuff through your classes is some way that you can show that you are experienced. Definitely, I feel like even if it looks like you even if you feel like you aren't qualified, you could still apply and you still have a pretty good chance.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, yeah.
And a follow-up question. So you know how you were talking about like social networking on like Facebook? Like how would I find the groups? So I just search up like bio groups?
Uh, For me personally, I didn't really network through Facebook. I networked through more so through my professors. So for example, a way you could actually build your experience with your as through your professors. So you can reach out to your professors and asked to volunteer in their labs. Usually that's a way that you can help build your experience. If you need help like formatting an email to your professor, I can help you with that actually. Definitely one tip that I recommend while emailing your professors, include your resume, include like your transcript, and like include information about yourself. Don't just send an email saying, oh, hi, I'm interested in volunteering in your lab. You want to be detailed and show that you're taking an initiative to like provide more information about yourself.
Oh, I see. Wait, I
Yeah.
didn't know that you can just email a professor and ask them to be volunteer in their lab. That's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a way for you to get more involved. Like, a lot of biology professors are definitely looking for volunteers and even just like undergraduates to join their lab. If you don't mind me asking, what year are you?
I'm a third year.
You're a third year. So another program that you can do through school is Rise. Rise and Build are really good programs. It's never too late to apply for those programs. They definitely still take people even till the last minute. So I definitely recommend applying for those as well. And like definitely when emailing professors about volunteering in the lab, make sure you look up their research papers and know what kind of research they do, because it shows that you're interested in them.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah, no
And is
problem.
it cool if I message you later on?
Yeah, of course.
Cool, 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 cool.
Uh, Tuvi, you can answer this. How long do you think someone should stick with internships and research positions?
Honestly, that like varies for like by person. It's honestly like your preference. Like if you have the opportunity to like continue doing the internship, like I would say like might as well do it. Like if you don't have any other options. So if it's something that you really like and something you want to do more about, like definitely like stick with it as long as you can. Like milk that opportunity as much as you can. Like try to get like as much as you can out of it. But if it's something that like you don't really like or like it's not something that you like expected it to be, I would still say like stick with it until you find a different opportunity, because like unless like they're like treating you badly or like you don't think it's like worth your time, then like you can find something else. But like if it's still like just like not the most ideal situation, but something that you can still gain like skills and also like experience from, like definitely stick with it. But like just like be on the lookout for like any other opportunities, because like honestly, like once you find another opportunity, you just like bounce from that, so it's fine.
For me personally, I feel like um, I would stick with like a research position or internship for at least as long as I can gain experience from it and learn like basic techniques. So I feel like if you can learn, if there's something that you can learn from it still, then I'd stay. Oh my God, Thuyvi. A question from Caesar. Are connections the best resources to find internships? Um, depending on your major, I feel like that definitely is like a really big part of it. For me personally in biology, I feel like resources help a lot, but also your background helps a lot as well. If you can create connections with your professors, that's something that helps a lot, because if your professor can give you a really good recommendation to an internship, you kind of have like a like foot in the door already, because I only got an interview for some internships because I created a connection with my professor, and she wrote me a really good letter of recommendation. You, Thuyvi?
Yeah, and like especially like just like having good connections and a strong network, like that'll always benefit you, because especially like I think I like touched on this like a little bit before, but like a lot of like jobs and internships, they'll reach out to the people within their company and be like, hey, like do you know anyone who would like be a good fit for like this role, or like do you know anyone who's interested in like this? So like they'll reach out to those people first, and like that's how like I was able to get some of my internships and like just like other opportunities that I was a part of, because I was like well connected with like the people like relevant in my field. So I was able to like find out these like opportunities before they were even posted on like job boards and whatever. And then also too, like if you have like connections that can kind of like put you in the door, like that just like um sets you apart from others, because it kind of keeps you like top of mind. And like obviously like, you know, it's not all about your connections and like your background doesn't matter at all, like that's not the case. But like especially with the current climate, like it's a very competitive like finding a job or an internship. So like if you can like get out of that noise and like brush past like all those things, and like by having a connection to like kind of like push you forward, that'll like increase your chances of actually getting an internship. It won't guarantee you of like actually getting a job, because I know people who've like had connections and like they don't end up getting it anyway. But like it like sets you forward, so it's always good to like have connections.
I would say it's a really holistic thing together. Like both your background in terms of what you experienced and what you've done, your connections, and also for me personally, I feel grades matter a lot in the biology field. So keeping your grades up as well. Um, so let's move on to the next question. How would you create connections with professors with the situation right now? A tip that I would have is attending office hours. That's something that's really big. Attending office hours and asking questions to make it seem like you're interested. That sounds bad, but it's true. Like sometimes you just may not be interested, but if you know that this professor is someone that you want to create connections with in the future, ask a lot of questions. Show that you're taking the proactiveness to take the next step. You have any tips, Tuvi?
I was pretty much gonna like say the same thing as you, like definitely like attend office hours. And then wait, what? What?
Tweet Olivia. I hate you, Olivia.
No, like, it's not like really like fake. Like honestly, like professors are there to help you with whatever you need, whether it's about like your classwork or like what you like, you know, if you have questions about like a career or like opportunities. So they understand. Like I honestly, I don't know. I mean, like I feel like you can come off as fake, but like that's why you need to know how to talk to people, okay, Olivia? So like you don't come off as like fake. But like, you know, it's always better to like, you know, just like ask and put yourself out there, because you never know. And also like a lot of professors are nice, so like they'd be more than willing to help you.
If you're genuinely interested in like what the professor does too, it like doesn't come off as fake. Like I was really interested in aquatic toxicology, and I talked a lot with the aquatic toxicology professor on campus, and like she ended up writing me a really good letter of recs in the end, like for basically everything I applied for. And so just you have to take the first step, and then also like depending on your major, like I just talk a lot about science just because that's what I know. Being in people's research labs also like kind of puts you ahead of others as well, because if you're taking the time to get involved with their research, it Dang, Kyla. Okay. It really sets you apart. So, for next question, uh, what's an ideal amount of different interests and positions for people to have during undergrad? Honestly, sometimes just one is good enough, honestly. Like you don't need to have that many diverse experiences if like that like is what you're like going to do in the end. Like Thuyvi.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with John. And also like again with like what I said about like quality over quantity, that also applies to this because like I know people who have like had no experience at all and they like are doing like really well off or like they got into like a big company just because of like how they presented themselves and like how they like leverage like what they already knew. And then like on the flip side, like I know people who had like a list of like experiences. So it honestly depends and it honestly it just it's like very dependent on like what you do in those like internships because you can have a lot of internships and like do nothing and like literally it has no value to you at all. But like you could be a part of one internship or like job and then like gain a lot of experience and then like that'll push you forward to like do whatever that you want to do like in the future. So like in whatever you do, like try to like make the most out of it. And like in an interview too, like even if you don't have a lot, like it just depends on like how you present it because like even for jobs that aren't necessarily like related to your major or like not like relevant to like that experience that they have on the job description, if you can like leverage it in a way that like makes it apply to it, then like it'll definitely like work for you. Cause like someone I know, like she currently does advertising for Nike and before she was at Nike, she used to work at a hospital and she was a waitress and like she was a bartender and like that was like her experience. Like obviously like she had like class experience and stuff like that, but given like her like work experience, she was able to like apply that and like how she would be a good fit for like where she's at now. So it all like depends on like how you present yourself and like what you like do with like those experiences, not like the number necessarily.
Yeah, definitely. So our next question is, do you have any tips for those interested in health professional careers? Um, I have a lot of tips. If you don't mind me asking, Kyla, what type of health profession are you interested in?
So I'm kind of between nursing or med school.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I'm still like I'm planning to like shadow, but I don't know if you guys have any other tips.
Definitely, I would say the first step for any healthcare professional, it's volunteering in a hospital usually. I would say that's probably the biggest thing that to kind of get your foot in the door first. And honestly, depending on what you're interested in, like it, you kind of have to take a certain pathway. All of my friends are healthcare professions, so like I could help you with it. Like even at one point, I was healthcare profession, so definitely like if you have more questions, I can help you out. Just feel free to reach out. But definitely start volunteering through some program. I know at near Long Beach they have that one program at what's that one hospital?
The
St.
VA.
Joseph's, was it?
St. Joseph's, yeah. I was thinking about the VA because it's like right next to us.
Yeah. So like honestly just reach out to a hospital and they typically have a volunteer program, but I think Joseph's program is very specific because it allows you to rotate through different floors to volunteer at. And so I forgot what the program's called, but definitely like I have a decent amount of resources if you are curious, like
Yeah, I think it's Hope.
Cope, yeah.
Hope.
Cope. But even then, like I know that if you plan to go to like medical school, they want to see research experience. So getting a research lab, getting involved with like a research lab will help out. Um, they just want to see diverse experiences usually. Like even with my friend who went into nursing, she was involved with microbiology a lot, and so she became a lab TA there, and that's how she kind of became more involved. With my all my healthcare professions, they all started with volunteering and moved their way up. Like another route that you can go to get more experience is become a CNA, for example, get a certificate. Um, yeah,
Okay, thank you so much.
no problem. But definitely also like your classes matter too. Like get good grades. They care a lot about your grades when getting into the school, and then afterwards it matters a little less. So focus a lot on your grades.
Okay.
I'm curious if anyone here has tried like staffing agencies or firms.
Thuyvi.
This is for me. Okay. Sorry, I was like, am I hearing it properly? Okay. I think like those could be good, honestly. Like again, like I've had friends who like have experience at like staffing firms, so I could like reach out to them if you want more information. But like personally, like any kind of experience that's like even like remotely relevant. I know like Olivia, you want to get into like more like advertising and entertainment. Like even like starting on like that side of like advertising and just like agencies is like very important because like there's a lot of like transferable skills that you can take and you can apply. So like whatever you start in is definitely not like where you have to end, and like that can open a lot of doors for you too. And also like being in like at a staffing firm and things like that, like you can build a lot of connections too, with like people who are like more into like the field that you like want to go into as well. So like think of it as like a stepping stone. So you can get experience and like get skills from basically anything. It's honestly just like how you like leverage it and like what you do with it, and like how I guess like creative and like proactive you can be in that like time span.
Okay, I have another question about LinkedIn because I'm a
Okay.
noob with LinkedIn. So I get a bunch of random like connections from people and like messages, and sometimes like I just don't like use the message function at all because I feel like they're fake, or it's like a sponsored like message or something. So like I can't tell if it's real or not, or like I don't know. Are you supposed to connect with people you don't know? 'Cause,
This
yeah,
like
there's a
also
lot of
depends like
random ass connections.
like I don't know, like sometimes it can get really tiring because like for me, like I have a lot of connections on like LinkedIn, and like every day I get like a bunch of like requests, and like I still have like some that I like don't accept because like they don't really seem legit. But like generally, like if they're like in your field that you're interested in, like you should connect with them anyway. Like sometimes like they're just like connecting you to like sell something to you, which like can be annoying, but like you never know. So I would say accept them anyway because you can just ignore them later on. And also with like students or recent grads, they'd be good people to connect with too. But like if you ever get like a weird like LinkedIn message, but it's fine to like ignore it, but like it's better to accept it and like check it anyway, because like you never know, like maybe it's like an actual like opportunity and not just like some random like troll message. But it can get tiring because like I would say like 99% or like 95% of the time it is like I don't know something like random, but you never know. So like that's why like a general rule of thumb, like if they're like something like completely random, like from what you're interested in, like don't accept it, because like there's also a limit. I don't remember what the limit is. I think it's probably like 1 million or something. So it's like a big limit. But like you honestly only want to connect with people who will actually benefit you. And like, if it's like colleagues, then like yeah, connect with them, because like based on who you're connected with too, like your home feed will be affected by it. So like if you're like connected with like a bunch of random people, when you go on your home feed, it's not gonna like be that much of value to you, because it won't be like relevant to like what you do want to do. So yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Any other questions? But yeah, Thuyvi and I, hang out in there with innocence. Toki can help a lot too. Toki has experience. But definitely, like, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. All of the alumni are like resources for you in the future. We all kind of have different paths that we went on to be able to end up where we are now. And so feel free to reach out. We're willing to look at look at anything if like you need help with it, like your resumes. Definitely like me and Thuyvi can be a resource for you. And yeah, don't be shy. We only graduated last year. We're not that old. And so next slide, Olivia. This is Thuyvi and I's contact information. And so if you guys don't click on my LinkedIn,
Oh my
bruh.
gosh, why would you click
No,
on it?
don't do it to me.
I'm not
Go
sure if I'm
John, it's
connected with
fine.
John.
Just
You
go
are
on, just go on John.
connected. um, feel free to email us, text us, message us on Facebook, LinkedIn if you really want to, but that's kind of wild. I don't. LinkedIn doesn't matter that much for science majors, honestly, but like it's a good resource to have, like just there to have, like, because when you apply for a lot of jobs, they ask for your LinkedIn. Please don't DM me on LinkedIn, Ricardo. And yeah,
Oh,
Audrey.
also like, oh, wait, what? Audrey does that? Oh my gosh. Lock,
Audrey always DMs
lock
me
her.
on LinkedIn.
Yikes. Okay. I also wanted to add that, like, if you guys ever want examples of like anything that we touched on, like how to like reach out to a recruiter on LinkedIn, how to like build your connections, like what to say in like a follow-up email, or like what to like say specifically like when you're ending an interview, like feel free to reach out. Like I personally have like a lot of examples because like from my own experience, so I can like show you guys like how I do it. I didn't want to include it because like I thought it'd be too long, and yeah, so
Yeah, we definitely just wanted to, like, we didn't want to go too in depth, but we also wanted to provide you with the general basics too, just to be able to provide you with enough information to help you out in the end. But like, if you need more like resources, feel free to reach out. Like, Thuyvi and I have gone through a lot through college, so we definitely understand like how much of a struggle it is to even get like an initial internship or a job. So feel free to reach out. Don't be shy. Yeah,
Wait, can I add something really quick?
go for it.
So I actually I like missed a part of the workshop, but I kind of disagree with what Thuyvi said about wearing comfortable waist down, because my friend did tell me that they did ask some of her friends to like stand up to check if they were wearing,
gosh.
if they went commando or anything.
Why?
But like,
That's weird.
so-
That's so weird.
like,
What company is this? I want to know what company this is. Like,
What
that's
job field
so
is
weird.
this?
I
That's
think
so
it was
uncomfortable.
STEM, but I'm
That's
not
like,
sure. Like, I mean, I don't know.
that's
My
like
friend is
invasion of your
STEM, so
privacy. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Yikes.
I've never had to been asked to stand up.
That's
but
so weird. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, that's
I quickly
yeah,
put on
but
pants.
I'm uncomfortable like thinking
Yeah.
about that. Like, why would they make you stand up? They just wanted to like see something. What is this company? I need to like look this up. Now I
I
want
don't
to
know.
know.
I just I feel like recruiters are kind of aware of the culture and they don't want anything to happen in the workplace. So I mean, like, it could just be a safety protocol and seeing like how professional you really are and like whether or not you're taking the job seriously and the interview seriously. But just in case, like, I guess like always play it safe. And then like something else I just kind of wanted to throw out was like research on YouTube about like Zoom etiquette, Zoom interview etiquette, because I did have something like that. So I like stacked a bunch of like books on my table to like have my computer be eye level, and also just practicing to speak to the camera rather than like staring at the recruiter or at like your own face. And then also be like prepared for like phone interviews, and recording yourself is also really important. And like John and Thuyvi both like emphasize a lot about like reaching out to other people and mental wellness and like taking things slow. So yeah, they are experts at this.
Yeah. Uh, you know, definitely like what Alex said then, wear your pants then.
That's so weird. That's like, I need to know. Like, Alex, tell me what this company is, because
I don't
that's
know what
so
company this is,
uncomfortable.
but I know that like someone like Olivia, it was like Tina told me about this, but like I'm pretty sure it didn't happen to her. So like I'm
Tina
assuming
has
it's
had weird
them.
experiences. It's like they asked about her like political affiliation or something. Like she mentioned it. Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, like
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it's Tina's friend, so like honestly, knowing her, it could be in any field, but like Tina's in STEM, so like I don't know what field they're in.
okay. Well, also like, if they're more like a conservative company or like more traditional, then I guess like, just like be safe. But I've never experienced that before. I'm so glad I haven't, because that's so uncomfortable thinking about it. Because like
Yeah.
for me, I could probably wear like a trash bag and it's like fine, because like I can wear whatever I want for work. So
Yeah, same here, like it does not matter like what I wear for work right now. Like I don't know, like I applied for a job at the EPA and they never had me do anything weird. So yeah. Any last questions? Feel free to speak your mind.
Well, Alex mentioned phones, and I never pick up calls from people I don't know. And also, I don't have voicemail. Like my voicemail is like does not work. So I'm like, should I be
I
worried
mean-
Your
about
phone
that? Should
doesn't
I just
work?
pick up every phone call? Huh?
No, yeah, you should. Like, are you not able to set up a voicemail, or are you like?
Yeah,
Just have
I
it.
had to call them to set it up. I was like,
Oh,
I'm good.
okay. Well, I guess I try to always pick up your phone, because like I normally don't pick up phone calls from people I don't know. And like one time, a recruiter called me like 3 times to like tell me that I got the job, but I didn't pick up. So then he had to like email me to like pick up. So like you should probably just like pick up.
Yeah, even when like applying to like schools too for graduate school, they call you a lot too. So please pick up your phone. Like my friend, like he missed his acceptance phone call. So like pick up your phone calls, like um have a nice background when you're having your interviews. Like I was complimented on my background when I did my interview one time, so that's nice.
Yeah,
What was it?
background?
It was just my background. Like
It was this.
It was just this.
no,
The
not this, not
fish?
this, not this, not this.
Oh.
I'm in my room right now. My background's not professional enough in my room. And I didn't want you guys to see my room, so that's why I put up this background. And Thuyvi wanted to match, so that's why she put it.
Would you say Olivia's background is good for interviews?
No.
No,
Okay.
I don't use this background for interviews.
Just
It's
making
just
sure.
blank.
But yeah, if any STEM majors want to reach out, I would say I'm a okay resource to talk to, kind of. Yeah. Any last questions? If not, then this is pretty much done. So like, Thuyvi and I are just here to help you out. Not an okay, great resource. Renz, I'll reach out to you, John. Oh, cool, Renz. I'll talk to you soon.
Can we take a photo before everyone leaves?
Okay.
Anthony?
Lenore.
No, Anthony's here.
Oh.
Unless he's on the ground.
No, I'm on my bed. Hold on. Yeah, okay.
So
Wait, you
Thuyvi,
have to put on pants?
you
Didn't you
wanna
like stop there? What?
Thuyvi, you wanna explain to everyone why you punched me in the face at Burger King that one time?
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're still recording. We can talk about this after.
Oh, wait, let me stop the recording.
Perfect.
Wait, how do I stop the recording? I don't see the green bar. Oh, wait, to here.
Yay.